Hello and a very warm welcome to this edition of The Store TV. The Store TV is brought to you by the Store WPP, the WPP Global Retail Practice, and it's part of our fundamental commitment to retail worldwide. I hope that you'll find these programmes interesting and valuable. My name's David Roth and I'm the CEO for Europe, Middle East, Africa and Asia, and it's my pleasure to host The Store TV. In each edition we aim to give you an insight into topical retailing issues from around the world and to share knowledge. In this edition we have a view on customer service from Simon Silvester of Y&R, our regular feature Must See Store where we bring stores for you to have a look at, an innovative new invention which allows retailers to generate their own electricity free directly from their customers, and the latest developments from the leaders of in-store customer loyalty programs, Tesco's. Well, I'm here with Simon Silvester, who's the Head of Planning at Y&R Europe. Simon, a very warm welcome. Simon, I think you've got a real problem with customer service.
I have indeed, David. I guess I've been studying this for quite a while, both from a personal perspective, where I keep on going into hotels and finding that there's no one to take my check-in, that if I check out in the morning it can take 10 to 15 minutes before I get away. And then also, I guess with places like airlines, where if I go and try and check in normally, there's an increasingly large queue, and that queue doesn't seem to go down the way it used to. So from a personal perspective, I've been suffering from service, but I think from a theoretical perspective as well, I'm also suffering from the problems of bad service.
So I guess you have a problem with retailers that market themselves as having fantastic customer service.
Indeed, yes, I see so many retailers showing in their ads nice, smiling service people who in reality don't really exist in the store.
So does that have a denigrating impact on the brand promise?
Yes, indeed. I mean, if I look at the brand onions of many retailers, all the brand diagrams, they have excellent customer service right at the middle of them. But the reality of modern economics is that the cost of people rises more rapidly than the price any retailer can charge for the goods and services that they provide. And for that reason, the level of service, the number of people serving, and the total service delivered keeps on going down. Now, that's not a good position for any brand to be in.
So I guess that economic issue is exacerbated in the current economic crisis that we see ourselves in. So what's the solution to that problem?
Well, the solution, I think, overall is for retailers to look at what their brand stands for and take out those words of excellent service with a smile or whatever they've got at the centre of their brand diagram and replace it with something that they can sustain.
But isn't that a very sort of defeatist attitude in a sense? Because we as consumers actually do want good customer service. Customer service should be a discriminator, shouldn't it? In terms of...
Customer service should be a discriminator, but you need to be very, very clear if you're a retailer whether you're delivering that via the people, which you will struggle to do, or whether you increasingly focus on delivering that via computers and other automated means. Because the automated means get better every year, whereas the people get fewer and worse every year.
So what good examples are there out there of retailers and service providers who've embraced the way of delivering service through technology?
Well, I guess the classic example, and I guess it's the one everyone always quotes, is something like Apple, where the Apple Store is there for people to experience the computers and experience what's available from Apple. But there's all sorts of things that Apple sell, like apps, like music, that don't even get a mention within the store. They're all things that are bought automatically via iPods and iPhones.
And what about the way in which airlines now seem to be dispensing with anything to do with paper, be it tickets, which happened a few years ago, but now even boarding passes are being delivered via mobile phones.
I have a hang-up with some airlines who still give you boarding passes, but they're printed out on paper that's so thin it feels like toilet paper to me. I find that quite irritating, but in general I find that the service I get from checking in myself via my computer at home the night before, where I can pick the seat, where I can do all sorts of things, is increasingly better. And indeed, with airlines like Lufthansa, where you just get a QR code sent to your mobile phone, you hold that on the gate and away you go, I'm very, very impressed with that sort of service. It saves my time.
Many grocery retailers and even home improvement retailers have been experimenting with self-service checkouts. I don't know if you've experienced those yourselves, but my experience has been very mixed. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You know, unexpected item in the bagging area seems to be the constant call around those machines.
Yes.
What's your perception of the way in which that technology is improving customer service, or is actually making customer service even worse in some retail stores?
I think if the computers that are running it are smart, then it can be good. I mean, say if you're in a supermarket, you have 2 items and you're in a queue behind 20 other people, all with trolleys, then going to the automatic checkout desk is much, much better. On the other hand, I've been very frustrated with some retailers, particularly the ones who put in an experimental area like that in the US, where the whole thing just doesn't work, or where it's so complex because the software has been written badly, they have to have someone explaining how to use it, sitting next or standing next to the automatic till. I think what I'm waiting for is when RFID tags work properly, so that all you have to do is hold your bag over a scanner and it works out automatically what's in it and how much it's going to cost you.
Well, I'm sure that's the utopia that most of us are looking for, but
yes.
I suspect it's going to be quite some time before we actually get to that in a way that's economic for most retailers.
Yes.
But if you had to give just 1 or 2 suggestions and pointers to retailers about how they could improve their customer service, enhance their brand proposition, but not at the expense of huge amounts of cost, what would those be?
I would say, first of all, review what computers could do for you that they don't do at the moment, because computers follow Moore's law, which means they get twice as good or fast or as clever every 18 months to 2 years, and that means that if the last time you reviewed what computers did for you was 3 or 4 years ago, things have changed since then. So that's very important. Secondly, be very careful about what you say about your brand, because the brand is something that you should be saying for the next 10 years. And if you have a problem with what you're delivering today, you may have an even bigger problem over the next 10 years doing that. But in general, I would say look at your systems within yourselves as a retailer and slim them down, because in general, customer service staff can deliver better service when they don't have 250 rules they're supposed to be following, most of which are pointless and counterproductive.
Well, Simon Silvester of Y&R, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, David. Good to be here.
Well, it's always nice to celebrate a birthday, especially when it's 100 years. And Selfridges, one of the leading department stores in the UK, this month celebrates its 100 years of trading. We've put together a small video where you can actually have a look at some of the innovations that Selfridges did in the store in order to celebrate with their customers their 100-year birthday. And you can find this video on the Store TV website under the Take a Look Inside banner. Well, now we are going to take a look inside a new innovative store that Mat Haywood has discovered for us. Well, I'm joined by Mat Haywood, who's the Global Insight Director for Fitch. Matt, you've just come back from holiday, and sometimes when you're on holiday you discover some great things. Usually it's sort of clothes and beaches, but you've been on a little bit of a busman's holiday, haven't you? And you've uncovered a really interesting store.
It is rather sad to admit that I can't have a holiday without looking into a store, but that's what's great. That's the beauty of these gems you do discover. The store is called Theatro Verde. It's actually in Toronto, in the downtown Toronto. And what's so special about this store? Theatro Verde, by the way, means green theatre in Italian. And what's special is that it started off as a florist's, and it's now morphed into one of the most wonderful home stores with a great mix of very well sourced globally sort of individual home furnishings, lights, books, and this mix comes together in an old setting of a hospital, which is just in front of a huge tower block. So when you're looking at it, you've got a great juxtaposition of the two. But what it's really done, it's restored the community feel to this area, which having spent a lot of time in Toronto before, really was lacking here. So what I think is great here is the theming, the mixing, the visual displays, beautiful. You can see how they've taken the art of floral work and applied this to every category, be it beauty or be it pottery. So yeah, a really good store to start the year off.
Of course, this was founded by two guys. One was a landscape gardener and the other one was a set designer. Is there a nice sort of mix of the two, theatrical design with interesting landscaping?
I think there is. I think you really, with this store, we're looking at the trends to a more independent feel of stores as opposed to a lot of the globality of a kind of cookie cutter approach to stores. You really get a sense that this is by two owners that have a real passion for what they both do, and they come together to create a unique store. And I think that individuality, that sense of discovery that you really feel for the store is down to the two founders. And you know, I think when I was chatting to them, they said they'd been to at least 27 countries around the world just to get ideas, just to get influences and inspiration before they set this flagship up only 2 months ago.
Well, Matt, thank you very much indeed. We look forward to seeing you on the next edition with your pick of what stores to go and have a look at. And I'm sure that we'll find something intriguing on your next vacation as well.
Indeed,
Mat
thank you.
Haywood, Global Insight Director for Fitch, thank you very much indeed. Well, there are times when you see an innovation and it looks just too good to be true, and that's what we thought when we saw a highly new, innovative idea from Peter Hughes. So we invited him into the studio in order to explain.